I want to tell you about a moment I had recently that just stopped me. I was on a mentor call with my coaching group. Now, you got to know, this is a call I look forward to every week. I protect that time. I show up for it. It fills me up. And I was on the call present in my body. And I also had my notebook open to take notes. And then at some point, I looked down, looked at my screen. I had 17 paint color swatches open in another tab. I was typing out my task list for the day, and I had answered 2 client messages. And somewhere in the background, I was mentally running through the structure of a talk I'm giving to teenagers this coming week. And all of this while on a call I love, a call I specifically set aside time for. When I caught myself, my first reflection was, what are you doing? And then I felt something else. It was a deep tiredness, not physically tired. It was the kind that comes from never actually being present anywhere. And I think a lot about this, especially with women I coach who have been conditioned to wear this as a badge. Look how much I'm holding at once. Look how many plates I can keep juggling. Who are expected to handle everything. And so we do. And we get very good at it. But at what cost? What are we actually missing when we're everywhere all at once? What does it cost our work, our relationships, our nervous systems, our sense of self? When we never fully show up for one thing, just one thing. And that question is what this episode is all about. So welcome to your Sunday Reset. Susan Lazar Hart here. And today we're talking about task bleeding. What it's doing to you, what to do about it starting today. Before we dive in, if you're new here, every Sunday I put a video like this one together, something practical, something that actually helps you grow into your next week feeling grounded instead of already behind. If that sounds like what you need, please hit subscribe and the bell and so you don't miss a thing. Okay, let's get into it. I'm going to give it a name and a shape because I think naming things is the first step in changing them. And I call this task bleed or task bleeding. Yep. When everything seeps into everything else and nothing fully gets your whole attention. It's what happens when the edges of your tasks soften. When you're never quite finished one thing before you start another one, and it starts to creep in. When you sit down to prepare your work, within 10 minutes, you've opened your email, you've scrolled something else, you've checked out Google, maybe Netflix, thought about dinner, sent a voice note, you're technically still at your desk, but your brain is in 5 to 10 different places. In my case, it was that mentor call. I had 4 tasks bleeding one into the other simultaneously. And what made it painful was how inefficient it was. I realized that. It was that I was letting it happen during something that also mattered to me, that I made time for. I was shortchanging the thing I loved because I couldn't tolerate the discomfort of leaving everything else alone for an hour. That's what task bleeding really is underneath all of it. It's an inability to tolerate incompletion. It's the mental itch of open loops. And most of us have never been taught to just sit with that itch, so we scratch it constantly, all day long. And we wonder why we're exhausted. Right now, I have a lot of things open in my life. I'm finalizing a talk I'm giving to these teenagers about being yourself in a world that constantly tells you who to be. We're choosing paint colors for our new home. I'm dealing with a knee issue and seeing a specialist. I'm preparing our current home for new buyers. I have clients. I have self-care that keeps getting pushed to the edge of the day. And every single one of those things is real and deserves my attention. But none of them deserves to be bled into the others. Each one deserves its own container, its own time, its own space, my whole self in that window. That's what we're working toward today. It's not about perfection. It's not some impossible monk-like focus. Just one thing perfectly, fully present, and a way to come back when we drift. Now let's talk about what task bleed does to your nervous system. Yikes. Because this isn't just a productivity problem. This is a nervous system thing. Your nervous system does not distinguish between a lion chasing you and the low-grade hum of 40 unfinished things sitting in the back of your mind. Both register as a threat. Both keep your cortisol level elevated. Both keep you out of the parasympathetic state, the rest, digest, create, connect. That's what we actually need to do our best work, to feel like we're being here. So when we're in a constant state of task bleed, when we're always half somewhere else, our bodies are running a stress response that never fully turns off, and we wonder why we're exhausted. Yep, that's your clue. We wonder why we can't sleep. We wonder why we feel like we're behind, even in our days off. It's because your nervous system never got the signal that anything was finished. It's still holding all those threads for you. The antidote to that is completion. Actual full completion of one thing at a time. That's what sends the signal that it's safe to let go and move on, to breathe, to rest. If you've never read The Power of Now, put it on your list. Eckhart Tolle says something that sounds very simple, but most of us find difficult. Wherever you are, be there totally. He wasn't writing a productivity book. He wasn't talking about time management. He was talking about being present in a way of being. What he's describing is exactly the cure for the task bleed. Be where you are fully, not half there, not half in, half out. Here's the thing that applies to everything. It applies to sitting down, to finalizing your talk. It applies to food preparation. It applies to self-care. It applies to being on the phone with someone you love, being really present. It applies to going for a walk. We've decided somewhere along the way that only certain tasks decide our full attention. Yeah, it's true. That work is real and everything else filters through that can be put on autopilot. But that's backwards. The moment you're cooking, resting, connecting with people, those aren't gaps between your real life. Those are your real life. And they deserve your presence just as much as anything else on your to-do list. When you cook dinner while half scrolling, you're not resting, you're not being part of it. When you call a friend while watching something on TV, you're not connected. When you try to write your talk while mentally writing down other 3 things you've got to do, like the laundry list, you're not doing your best work. Presence is a skill. And like any skill, it has to be practiced deliberately, one task at a time. Now, knowing this and actually doing it are 2 different things, because presence sounds great in theory. But the moment you sit down to focus, your brain immediately wants to go somewhere else. That's just what brains do. This is where Mel Robbins comes in. You probably know her 5-second rule, and I know some people roll their eyes, but just stay with me for a minute. Because what she's actually describing is something genuinely useful. The moment you notice yourself drifting, notice you're about to open a new tab, go somewhere else, reach for a phone, switch to a different task, count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you physically return to what you were doing before the hesitation has time to win. It works because hesitation is the enemy of focus. The longer you stay in the drift, the more permission your brain gives itself to stay there. The countdown is a pattern interrupt. Trust it. It's a commitment device. It says, I notice I'm bleeding. I'm coming back. No guilt, no spiral, no, I got distracted again. It's just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're back. And that's the return mechanism. And you're going to need it because nobody stays perfectly present. The practice isn't achieving perfect focus. The practice is noticing when you've left and returning it and trusting that moment. So here's what I want you to actually do. I'm going to give you 5 things, and they're small, I promise. None of them require a new app or a whole system or to go off and meditate for an hour. Done consistently, they change how your day feels complete. Number 1, name the task before you start it out. Out loud if you can. I'm now preparing my talk. I'm now doing this until noon. Name it. That sounds almost too simple, but naming it creates a container and lets the universe know you're here. It signals to your brain that this window has an identity and other things don't belong here. Number 2, create physical transitions between tasks. Get up, go for a walk to another room, make a cup of tea, wash your hands. These are neurological punctuation marks. They signal to your nervous system that chapter is closed and we're done. This one is beginning. Without a transition, the bleed from one task just carries you straight into the next. Number 3, give your non-work tasks the same protection you give your work. If cooking is at 6 p.m., cook at 6 p.m. You're not answering messages while you cook. If you're calling someone you love, call them, not half listening and half doing something else. Self-care done while you're mentally somewhere else is not self-care. It's just a different kind of unfinished bleeding. Number 4, use the 5-second rule. When you notice bleed, and you will notice it, don't make it a big deal. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, return. That's it. The noticing is actually what it is. Most people drift and never notice. Your noticing means you're practicing the work. Number 5, use today's Sunday to design a week with named blocks, not just a to-do list, actual time blocks where each block has one answer and one owner, one task, one category. When everything has a time and a place, your brain stops carrying the whole list all day long. You don't have to hold it in your head anymore. The week holds it for you. Trust that. Here's what I want you to leave you with. The goal to this week is not a perfect, uninterrupted Zen-like day. That's not realistic. What is realistic and what will actually change how you feel is catching yourself mid-bleed and returning once, then again and again if required. That's how things get finished. That's also how life feels lived rather than just managed. So I have a question for you, and I want you to actually answer it in the comments below, not just think about it. What's the one task in your life that you keep letting bleed into everything else? What is the thing that is always half done, always carrying over, always in the background? Name it, put it in the comments, and that naming is step 1. And I'll see you next Sunday. Take care of yourself this week, one thing at a time. Hey, if this was useful, there's more where that came from. Hit subscribe so you get this reset every Sunday in your inbox. Susan Lazar-Hart here, your transformational mindset coach, signing off for another week. Live boldly, love greatly, and be that fearless leader you came here to be, because the world needs more of you and that special sauce, and not less. If you haven't joined us at Fearless Women Rising, come on over. I go live every Wednesday with your Q&As. Mwah! Big love from Montreal. Have an amazing week.